Exactly 15 minutes into the hour of 11 o'clock, and that means it's time for Research Matters with Kuda and Unda. Now, welcome to Research Matters. It's an online show that is all about communicating the impact that the research has and the research that's taking place at the Namibia University of Science and Technology. And this is, of course, in efforts to promote the university's research agenda and the impact thereof. Now, I am joined by my co-host Kuda, and she will be introducing our guest for this morning.
Thank you so much, Unda. It's always a pleasure to be out here. Now, today in the house, we have Marsela Rita. I hope I'm saying that right, because I know she's commonly referred to as Marcy. Yeah, she's a child online protection researcher, a vlogger, a blogger. She does some stuff behind the scenes with TED Talks. She's a podcast host. She's a master's candidate at the Namibia University of Science and Technology in the Faculty of Computing and Informatics. Marcy, what is it that you do not do? How about we start with that?
All right, I don't ride bicycles. That's what I don't do. I've never fallen before, but I know I'm not very good at it. So yeah, that's the one thing I don't do, guys. I don't ride bicycles.
We're so excited to have you here. Now just tell us a little bit about yourself, all these hats that you wear. Just tell us, let's get right into it.
All right, so basically, I put on the different hats when I need to be at different phases and different spaces. But I think it's very important for everyone to know that a woman can do it all and she can have it all. And I want to show all my little sisters and all my little nieces that you can be anything. But this is a philosophy from Dad, because I grew up with brothers and he always told me, you can be better than your brothers because you have the capacity to do it all, and he supports that. So being the only girl, I had to make sure that I could show the world that I am able and I am capable.
All right, now I just want to take a little bit of a different route, if you will allow me. I see you're a vlogger. We have cameras set up in studio already. How did that become an interest? Has it always been something that you love to do?
Yes, but more of documenting my life. I realized that, you grow older, each chapter is being added. Yeah. And it's so hard to just be present and to take in the moment. Kuda and I were just talking oh my gosh, we need to be in the moment because things are moving so fast. So the reason why I started vlogging my life here and there, especially when I go on vacation or even the journey of my master's, is just to see that, this is all the good times and also all the scary times. I mean, it's not easy to stand up in front of experts to show your paper and to show your work, because it's going to be heavily, heavily criticized. But I'm very lucky that it wasn't too criticized. But yeah, that's the reason why I document it. It's just because I want to look back and say, I did this. And I want my nieces and maybe my future children to see and say, wow, mom did this. She's super mom.
And we're sure that mom can. Now, if you can just tell us, child online protection. Yeah. How? When? Why?
All right. So, let me take you back in the younger years. I actually wanted to study media, but mom said no because she knows that I was going to be a war journalist. And she's like, no, I know you want to fly to all these places to just capture the moment. So she says, no, why don't you just do business and marketing? And I say, okay, no problem. Let me do that. And then after I was done with that, I started studying for informatics. But then my heart always had this calling, which is I need to give more, do more for my society. And of course, I started learning about purpose. And my purpose was to make sure that women and children are not being sold online through human trafficking. Mm-hmm. But how do I do this, with all these degrees that I'm doing? So I went and then I scouted my thesis supervisor and I told her, I have this dream and this is what I wanted to do. And she says, we don't have a course in human trafficking 101. But you know what? Let's do child online protection, which is to just contribute to that, because when children and women are empowered and they know how to secure themselves online, then they're not prone or vulnerable to these kind of things, which will, get them in trouble online, which will then lead to physical dangers. So that's why I wanted to do something in child online protection.
All right, now if we're looking at just the solutions that you've been able to basically have with your research, what was that one thing that you know for sure that your research has been able to take a hand on? Because with your thesis, yes, you do some research, you bring it together, but what have you solved, practically in that space?
If I can just add on to that, and that's quite a valid question, and just to add on, what are some of the recommendations? What are some of the problems you've seen? And you said, okay, this is how we can resolve this. Go.
All right.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. All right. So when I was doing my honors, I actually worked a lot with children. And, we did questionnaires, we did studies, we did focus groups. And they said that, we learn a lot of online safety through mom and dad. But then I did further research, and mom and dads actually, they know as much as a 14-year-old. So I saw a problem, which is that, okay, it's kind of like another teenager teaching another teenager. So what can I do? And that's why I wanted to implement the technological part of it, which is now, creating awareness, but on things that we always have, which is our phones. We're surrounded by our phones all the time, our laptops. So, and of course, awareness is a big thing. Sometimes when you know and you are aware of the different online dangers there are, you're more cautious than somebody who does not know at all. And upon, talking to the children, and they're so serious about their safety online, but then they're also, if you're taught something, or if your parents are not teaching you a broader aspect of it, then you cannot implement that. So that's where I guess I wanted to implement or sell the technological part into my purpose, which is now, keeping people safe.
Online.
If we can just take a few steps back, I know now we've really deep dived into child online protection and so forth, but when we talk about children being unsafe online, what are we talking about?
Basically, we're talking about them exposing themselves knowingly or unknowingly. That's what we talk about when we say child online protection.
So exposing themselves, say, to predators that are just really targeting innocent children to get them to act in a certain way or to reveal certain information, stuff like that?
Absolutely. Because, it's so easy to lie about your age, about your gender online. When we're kind of like, okay, I'll just say it like this. Your online presence is an extension of who you are. And whatever we post online is heavily, heavily curated, which means you can sell a story that might be a little bit different. And a lot of people are not always authentic online, which means it's so easy for somebody to not present themselves correctly online. So your child could be talking to somebody who's actually a male 35, but actually posing themselves as a little girl who is 12.
This actually reminds me of the show Catfish. I don't know, it's an MTV show where these people just have these crazy profiles, and you're talking to someone and you think, they're blonde, they're 14, Kanti, my friend, you're talking to a 65-year-old.
Yes.
So just things like that, I think, ties in nicely with what you just said.
Yeah, absolutely. And in our younger years, we had Yahoo Messenger, where you didn't know who you were talking to.
Yeah.
You just you ask age, location, and gender, and you'll give away those information freely.
Yes, and so many times, I think we always think, oh no, we're so woke. That would never happen to me. But all the information that we've put out there, or even sometimes you're on a new app, you're trying to upload something, and it already has a memory of what it is that you logged in, that you put in from another app. You gave that information. So I think sometimes we're not so conscious of exactly what we're putting out there. And so these discussions are actually very important, and I think we should even spread it to adult online protection.
Absolutely.
Or just online protection in general for everybody, right?
Right.
But yes, we've got Marcy Darcy in the house, if I can call you that. She is a child online protection researcher, and she's telling us all about her craft and all the great things that she does. We're having a good time right here in the studio. Marcy, if we can just get a little bit more, let's talk about you're published, girl. Girl, tell us a little bit about that. What does that even mean?
All right. Well, basically, when you are published, in a way, it's to say that, all right, you are kind of patenting your work, but in the sphere of academically. So therefore, people cannot really steal your work because they have to now reference you.
That APA reference.
Absolutely, or even IEEE.
Yeah.
So isn't that the coolest thing, though, as an academic, to have people reference your work? Like, that's just another level of attribution, but also like recognition. Like, I did this, and now people are gonna keep saying that I did that.
Yes.
I think that's quite nice.
It was really quite cool when I could publish a paper when I was still doing my honors.
Yeah.
You know, to write about chatbots and all of that. So I feel very honored that, you know, it was different experts who viewed my paper and said, yeah, she can go to the final conference.
Qualifies.
I qualified.
How did you celebrate this moment?
I put on Love on Top by Beyonce.
Yeah.
And I started dancing around the room because only God's love can put me on top. And I don't know, I'm very aligned and very purpose-driven. So I won't just write anything because I need to write or I need to publish.
Yeah.
I need to feel good about it. So my first paper was about chatbots. And then my second paper was in digital forensics. And then the third one, I decided I want to write something about tech for good. It's not part of the research really, but now I'm going to put it. And it's so important to say, all right, I am looking at different frameworks and I want to be able to contribute a piece of knowledge about tech for good. Because we always see, AI, machine learning, and all of the very, very nice, complex stuff. But how many of us actually look back and say, are we contributing to the good in the world? So I guess that's why I published that paper.
Okay, that is actually very exciting. Now, you know, obviously when it comes to publications, sometimes there are co-authors. Anybody you worked with, any particular person you want to give a shout out to?
Absolutely. I always work with my thesis supervisor, Prof. Bunushava, who is the Dean at the Faculty of Computing and Informatics. And also, let's not forget my co-supervisor, Dr. Mercy Chitaro. So those are my two kind of like, how can I put it, research moms.
That's so sweet. But I'm going to take it a little bit, far from research, but not entirely. I know you have a podcast, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So what type of conversations would you tackle, and how would they sort of be in line with what you stand for?
All right, so when it comes to my podcast, it's called Live Intentionally with Lady Marsela. So during my year of healing and finding myself and liking the woman that I am right now, it had a lot to do with inner work, which is like positive mindset and having that abundance mindset, and also saying, okay, sometimes what needs to happen, and always seeing the silver lining. So that's what my podcast is all about. And I think I need that in my life, because if I was always on the go with research and career, I wouldn't be able to work within my feminine energy. Because I must say that, always being a goal-getter and doing really depletes me. It really does. I feel so tired because you're always competing with men in the computing world. Like in the Department of IT, it's mostly men, and they're so smart, and you always have to be, one step ahead. So, but then I realized that's not who I am. I am a feminine being, and I can do all these creative things and also be a boss babe and do publications and have all of these different goals in my life, but still come back to that. Still come back to to being me, the woman that I want to be, the woman that I love.
Yeah, I love the balance. Absolutely. Hey, there's just a little bit of time for everything. And on that note, I saw you on a picture, or rather a photo with the Oshikeva on.
Oh.
And as a hetero speaking woman, I was just like, Marcy, you done good that. Now I'm Moshavi. Right. So how did that experience go? And I'm just tapping into that femininity, right? So did that make you feel any more or any, what was that experience like? Just a little description, rather.
It's an honor to be dressed that way because you guys go through a lot.
Ouch for me. I would have said, but I don't want to put anyone else off. They need to experience it.
6 underdresses.
Yeah.
I only put 3.5 because this little Asian girl is like,
It's heavy.
I cannot. It's too heavy.
Yeah.
And you may not lift it.
No, you may not.
So I had to walk slowly. And we had to sing the wedding song because it was one of my best friend's wedding, Tiopo. She's a Herrera girl.
Yeah.
And for her to ask me to be a bridesmaid and to put on that dress, it was an absolute honor.
Yeah.
But I was melting.
Would you do it again though? Would you?
I think I would love.
Answer carefully. She's watching. She's giving you a side eye.
I'm giving you a side eye. Okay, so I would put the dress on again. Yes.
Yeah.
But to be a bridesmaid in another wedding,
yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot
It's
of
a
work.
lot.
Talking about still on this point, I actually, when we were doing our research on you, it's lovely to see your diversity and how you've just fully immersed yourself in the different Namibian cultures. What brought that about? It seems very strategic, actually, to say, you know what, I'm not going to come here and only be in my little community and stick into that. No, I'm really going to get into all of it.
I guess when you grew up here and you have different friends from different cultures and different walks of lives, you can't help but just also walk a little bit in their shoes. And actually my friend Tiopo said, you're the most adaptable girl. You're like a little marshmallow that you can just, squish. And I said, yeah, but I enjoy it. I should try everything once. I mean, we even went up north to Oikoto. Guys, that was like almost in Angola. And I actually got lost because there's not a lot of lights. So we were driving in the dark and I swear I was almost in Angola. But then it's fun. No electricity.
It's experience. Truly, it's an adventure, so to say. So I'm so glad you're just embracing all of it. Truly, it's quite nice to see and hear.
Thank you.
Now, if you could give advice to your younger self, especially with your research journey, when you first came to university, this is obviously because research only starts when you do your honors, but when you started walking that journey, what is it you would say to your younger self right now in terms of advice?
You know what? Definitely do not compare your chapter 1 with somebody else's chapter 100. I did that. I sat in the first class next to a guy who's been in IT for 10 years. And he's only doing it so that he can get certified.
Yeah.
And I went in there fresh. So I started comparing myself. When I couldn't understand something, I'll look at him and I think, why am I not as good as him? But only if I knew what is happening today and where I am. I'm sitting right here with you guys talking about research in IT, doing my master's. If only I could tell her, hey, slow down. That was your chapter 1. We're now in chapter whatever, and look at you now.
Yeah.
Like, calm down, relax, no imposter syndrome. Just go with the flow and enjoy and learn. That's what I'll tell her. Enjoy and learn.
Would you say there was any rookie mistakes you did during the process of your research, besides having that imposter syndrome or just comparisons? What was your hurdle or your biggest hurdle going into actually having to do your research? Were there any times where, I forgot to submit my literature review and, stuff like that? Or is it just me? Am I the only one?
Well, I'm quite organized, so I hardly miss a deadline. But I remembered once I missed the deadline with Mr. Bilaver.
You
And
even remember. I will not forget.
Because I had to beg, and this was because of a heartbreak, yeah? You know?
Oh, life.
Life happened, and I forgot to submit my work integrated learning report. So I had everything, I just needed to compile and submit.
Yeah.
And I missed the deadline by 2 weeks.
Sure.
I don't know if that's missing a
Oh, you just I mean, truly, we need to define miss because 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Oh, chummy.
And I called him and I said, "Sir, you know I've never. So you know something serious is happening.
It's happening. Yeah.
And then he says, "Okay, fine, I'll give you till Monday." And I think it was a Friday. And I said, "No, I'll submit now because it's done." When I realized my mistake, I rectified. So I'm here to ask for forgiveness. And that's what I did. I asked for forgiveness and I submitted. And yeah.
A lot of life lessons there. You know, ask for forgiveness, rectify your mistakes, be honest, and don't allow imposter syndrome to creep in. And just like that, we've come to the end of our show. You know, Research Matters with Unda and Kuda on NUST FM. As always, it's been a blast. Unda, Marsela, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Now, we have another requested jam because we're not just going to leave you high and dry. We've been having fun. And this one is titled Dancing in the Moonlight. This is by Top Loader. A requested jam by Miss Marcy. Is it because you said Marcy that
Darcy, Marsela, Rita, it's a whole thing.
There's a lot.
Right before just you wrap up, if I may, Unda, you can now actually catch us on our podcast version is now available on the Namibia University of Science and Technology YouTube page. So the one for last week, 2 weeks ago, is already up with Dr. Delgado. Marcy's will be coming up soon, so they can catch us on those platforms. That is YouTube, also on Facebook, Research, Innovation and Partnerships, as well as LinkedIn and the NUST FM pages, Instagram and Facebook.